I have a confession to make. You see, when I made all those Riot MMO videos, people said it simply made sense for me to make those videos given the fact that I already had the knowledge about its universe. But even with that knowledge, it wouldn't necessarily be a reason to make a video specifically about the MMO. I mean, why didn't anyone else talk about it? No, instead, all of those videos were born from the fact that I am very passionate about the universe of League of Legends, as well as a very specific MMO. And of course, I am talking about World of Warcraft. The thing is, I don't think people realize how much of a WoW Andy I've been in the background the entire time. And I really mean the entire time, because while on YouTube and with the content I might be mainly a League of Legends guy, behind the scenes, WoW has kinda always been my main game. Now, at the very least, I have always known I have spent more time in WoW compared to League, but I never really bothered to check the numbers. That was until today. You see, I've been playing WoW since the original release of Burning Crusade. And I played all the way through Cataclysm, where I quit for the first time, just like many others. And I came back in Firelands, and then I raided all the way through Warlords of Draenor, all the way to BFA, where I quit for the second time. Although I didn't really quit the game, I was still doing my dailies, and I tried doing PvP for the first time properly in arenas with proper rank. So really, I was still playing, I was just really grumpy. And all the way until Mechagon, I was a completionist. I was collecting mounts, I was collecting achievements, but let me tell you, collecting things in Mechagon just burned me. And to this day, I still don't have Rustfeather. And then Shadowlands arrived. All I really did was my one Covenant and a bunch of Torghast. Although I did collect some of the elite PvP transmogs. And then Dragonflight followed up, and that's kinda it. Like, yeah, it's a nice expansion, I just don't wanna farm mounts anymore. I have 555 mounts. What is one more mount gonna do to my collection? And this kinda overwhelming number of just stuff to collect for no reason at all is not really motivating to me anymore. Which is why Classic WoW is still holding strong. You see, when Classic WoW released, I would say that was one of my favorite moments in gaming. It was better than any previous WoW expansion release, and to me it was just better than anything else that ever came up. And this is gonna be important to point out in just a moment. Now, to give you the thing that I've teased, let's log onto every single one of my characters and let's do /played. You see, it all starts with the retail account, where I have my main paladin. I call this transmog the Lamp Knight. I'm actually proud of it, it looks like a Dark Souls boss. Regardless, this was my OG main character. This is why I have the name that I have right now. When I made this character in 2008, I misspelled Necrit from Soul Calibur. Anyway, when we log there, we may find out that I have 6,408 hours on this single character. Now, in Mists of Pandaria, I actually made a monk whom I have mained all the way through WoD. And that monk currently stands at 2,088 hours. But of course, later we got Legion, and during Legion I mained a Demon Hunter, which clocks in at 1,392 hours. You see, these were just the 3 main characters I have. But as you can see, I have a lot of other characters. I have a Hunter with 192, Shaman at 264, Warlock at 1032, DK at 336, Warrior at 360, Mage at 120, my Bank Alt also at 120, and the rest kinda rounds up at 630. Sounds fine, right? You see, Ragnaros was not my original server, my characters actually came from Spinebreaker. So there I have my original alts, so that Warlock has 456, Shaman has 480, and Hunter has 288. Now of course back then I also wanted to try Alliance, so I leveled up an Alliance alt, which would be a Mage at 216. And the rest of all of those alts clocks in at about 300. Now of course, I also had to RP. So my RP Paladin clocks in at 312. The thing is, I am a little bit of an altoholic. So when I open up all the servers, Yeah. So the grand total of retail alone is 14,994 hours played. And again, this is clean time played. This is not me going to bed and having the computer on or anything like that. This is just time spent at the keyboard. But here's the thing. Classic WoW is separate from that. So now let's have a look at what's going on there. The first character I leveled up in Classic was a Warlock who is clocking at 1,445 hours. Now, of course, later I joined my brother's guild and they had too many warlocks, so I leveled up a druid to heal. And I healed all the way through Naxxramas. And that druid is sitting at 643 hours. But then, of course, Burning Crusade came out and I really wanted to play Paladin, just like my original character. So I leveled up Paladin, played through the entire Burning Crusade, all the way to Wrath, where nobody played anymore. Now the Paladin is sitting at 632 hours. But of course, on Classic I also had some secondary alts. We have a Mage with 216, Shaman at 205, and the rest is about 40. Then I also had some Alliance alts, and those are also about 40. So in total, WoW Classic all the way to Wrath is clocking in at 3,221 hours. But then, I became a little bit of a degenerate. Because you see, in retail WoW, you could get some special mounts for recruiting friends. But I didn't have friends. So I got a second account and leveled up some characters there, which only clock in at about 60 hours total. And then I got a third account. You see, during Classic, I always knew that if Burning Crusade would come out, I would have to play a Paladin. But after leveling so many characters, I just didn't feel like doing it again. So a totally cool and ethical thing you could have done in Classic was boosting. Basically, a mage would pull an entire dungeon and just kill it on its own and you would get all the XP. So I purposefully leveled up a mage on my main account, which I then used to boost another mage on my second account, which was actually my third account. And then when Burning Crusade came out, I would use that mage from the third account to boost my paladin on my main account. This is peak Classic WoW, I'm telling you. So the mage on the third account is clocking in at 384 hours. And then I got a fourth account. Look, it was just an account for the US server where I just leveled up a mage just in case there was someone on the US servers who would like to play. Of course, I never played with anyone, I was just alone. But that mage has 405 hours. But we are still not done, because then Classic WoW Hardcore came out. My original Necrit died there at level 13, he could not solo the Baron near Ratchet. But Necrit 2, the Druid, is currently sitting at level 50 with 106 hours. I am probably not gonna make level 60 in time before the next thing comes out. Anyway, this means that the grand total of hours I have spent in the entirety of World of Warcraft since 2006 is 19,210 hours. Or in other words, that is near perfect 800 days of my life in front of World of Warcraft. And I do not regret a single minute. No, really I don't. That was 800 days of having fun. Now, the interesting thing to point out here is that, as you can see, Classic WoW really had leverage on all the MMO players. And the reason why it's important is that this can correlate to the right MMO. You see, every time anyone is making an MMO, and it doesn't really matter what kind of an MMO it is, they always try to copy someone else and make their game better. You rarely ever see anyone try to actually make a new MMO, simply because it is so ineffective. It is far better to take someone else's idea and just make it better. And time again, it has always been proven that Classic WoW has always been the top MMO. It's kinda crazy how when Classic WoW came out, everyone got surprised by how popular it actually became. And it is a shame we don't have the sub numbers, because I would really love to see that now. Especially compared to the old glory days of Wrath of the Lich King. I would not be surprised if the numbers got really close. And you see, as I said, I've been playing WoW in the background the entire time I've been making videos about League. You see, before Legends of Runeterra came out and they gave us all the amazing soundtracks of all the different legions from League, I was actually using soundtrack from WoW when I was talking about the lore of League of Legends. And I was so methodical about it that I reserved certain tracks for certain champions or regions. Halls of Valor? That was used for Demacia. Icecrown Citadel? Lysandra and the Watchers. Anything from Mists of Pandaria? Of course, that was Ionia. I mean, the bloody soundbite at the end of my every video actually comes from the end of the Storm Stout Brewery. Just go to the end of the soundtrack, you're gonna be surprised. Also, when I was talking about League's lore and we didn't know what the characters looked like because we only had them in a text form, to show them on screen, I actually loaded up a WoW model viewer and I took the models from WoW and turned them into generic silhouettes. You want a skinny guy? That's Blood Elf without the ears. You want a strong brute? That's a forest troll for some reason. And every time I needed a generic man, that would be just a human. So yes, if you go back, you can actually find all of these hidden WoW references in my videos. But now you may be wondering, why am I even talking about this? What is the point of this video? Well, it's simple. I just really wanted to talk about BlizzCon, because the announcements they gave us are crazy. See, ever since Classic WoW ended and people went through Burning Crusade, they figured out it was okay, and then they went through Wrath and people realized... Most people started paying attention towards something called Classic Plus. You basically take the old game, let people go through it again, because, you know, you can get more money by doing that. But then at the end, you just keep going. You don't raise the level, because I can tell you right now, if there is something I hate about retail WoW, it is that the level cap is increasing. Why do you reset my character every time? The reason why Classic WoW was so cool is because you could just progress. I mean, with the retail announcements, do you think the level cap is gonna be same for the entire saga? That would be actually cool. Anyway, when it comes to Classic WoW, they announced Classic Plus. Or, did they? You see, they announced that they are doing something incredibly close to what people wanted to see, but it's not exactly it, because it is just one season. And everyone kinda assumes that it is gonna end eventually and people are gonna start all over again. You see, Blizzard actually lost a lot of hype from people because they didn't call it Classic Plus or anything like that. Because that is what many people wanted to see, including me. They first talked about the strange stop at level 25 and how it will slowly progress upwards from that point. But they also teased Nomuragan, Scarlet Monastery and a Karazhan Crypt raids, all of which seem really cool, but it still wasn't exactly Classic Plus. It was still just a season. With that said, they did confirm that once people get to level 60, there will be more endgame content. Which is why everyone is now confused with the hype. People don't know if this is actually considered Classic Plus or not. And I think this confusion is overall hurting what Blizzard was trying to present. Now, some of you might be confused as well, because you just don't even know what Classic Plus is. So instead of telling you that, let me tell you what they are actually doing in the season. They just gave us new, wacky things for every class. Warlocks? Let them tank. Mages? Let them heal. You wanna be a melee hunter for no reason at all and take all the disadvantages? Hell yeah! They are basically turning WoW into a wacky fun, which, to be fair, on one side sounds great. But on the other side, it does seem to feel a little bit like a private server. And in my opinion, that's because they are simply giving us too many things. It is as if literally every class has gotten an extra spec. But some of these specs are weird. Like shaman tanks? Fine, that was the original idea since Vanilla WoW. But rogue tanks? I mean, if you go through the original Vanilla WoW guide, you can even see that in Alpha they were supposed to have like bucklers and stuff. But from the fantasy's perspective, I don't think a rogue is supposed to be like taking aggro. But whatever, it is all about wacky fun. After the announcement, I actually watched the stream where Asfand, Guzu, Fendi and that entire group just went through a whole new raid. Which was a raid for level 25s, which kinda sounds interesting. The thing is, The pace of that raid was so quick, it kind of felt like retail WoW. And I don't think that's the feeling they really want to go for. However, it is absolutely obvious why this is happening. You see, in Classic WoW, the issue with all classes is that some classes simply dominated everyone else at their job. If you wanted to play a DPS, you had to play a warrior, rogue, mage, or warlock. Everyone else had their niche used, but no one was even close. Okay, maybe hunters. And in this new version, to make everyone feel on a similar playing field, instead of nerfing all the best DPSs, because that would just feel awful, they bring up everyone else to a similar level to them. Which means that naturally the DPS of everyone is gonna go up. So the fights are gonna be easier, everything's gonna be faster, and suddenly you are getting towards retail. I mean, to be fair, being fast in raids can be fun. In fact, that is what parsing was always about. So now, we'll just have to wait and see how all of this is gonna work out. Now, what's absolutely amazing about all of this is that they are holding no PBEs. So you can't test any of the changes, you can't really prepare for the meta, and to be fair, content creators are kinda screwed if they wanna make guides. Because at the start, no one will know what's good. Because there wouldn't even be a way to test it. And honestly, I love that. I also love how, for no reason at all, just on top of it all, for fun, they are also giving us like open world battlegrounds in Ashenvale. Like, it really feels that the devs are passionate about what they can do with Classic WoW. And there is one way you can tell all of this is true. It's that when you have a look at the trailer for the Black Fathom Depths, it is as shitty as it can get, and it is awesome. They purposefully replicated the way they recorded trailers from back in 2004. It was just a flying character that's turning the camera like a robot, and it just looks janky and awful, and it's awesome. Now here's the thing, they call the new season a season of discovery for many different reasons. It is still mostly because people are going to blindly explore and discover all the new things in the game. But to me, it feels like Blizzard is trying to discover what people like from all the new stuff they have thrown at them. And after they discover what the community likes, they can then put it into a proper full version of Classic Plus. I really wouldn't be surprised if this was their plan. Because why else would they purposefully overload people with so many new options? If they wanted to make this a new kind of permanent WoW, they probably should have gone more safe. This is a massive gamble, and I think it is on purpose. Because it is just a season, they can go crazy. Now, when I was streaming BlizzCon with my audience of a mix of League and Genshin, of course I got the question, who the hell cares about Classic? Well, just for context, our guild from the original WoW has had a guild meeting roughly every year. And during Classic Plus, when we remade our original guild, we had the most people attend that we have ever had. There was 50 people crowded in one tiny house. And it was glorious. That's why I believe the sub numbers had to be so high. You had so many casual dads playing this game, it was insane. And that's just what the Classic WoW community is about. You really can't replicate this feeling with another game. So you know what? I hope this is what Riot's MMO will aim to replicate. This old school kind of MMO. Because time and time again, it got proven that it works. So yeah. I just wanted to announce that when the new season comes out, I am totally gonna be streaming Classic WoW. So November 30th, if there are any streamers from the WoW community who would like to take me into their guild, I'm free.